A teenager will now find themselves thinking that they know more. And if they do not get the right guidance, these teenagers can fall into a trap or can do some things that are not right. But what we are saying is we have to be friends. So even in church, a teenager will identify with someone who is friendly. A young adult will identify with someone who is friendly, who is ready to listen to them, who is not judgmental. And that is how even me, when I was growing up, I realized there are people whom I really identify with and feel free to tell them what is going on in my life. For example, if I realize there's some boy who was really disturbing me, it will be easier for me to go to someone else, maybe more not my mother, because I would say, hey, mambe atasema nini. But I realized I had people who were making me make it easier for them to advise me. So I would go and find, especially when I was growing up in Friends Church, the pastor's wife was very, very friendly with me. So I would go and share with her, nawambia, hey, there's a boy who is really disturbing me. Anafanya hivi na hivi na hivi. So that lady will tell me what to do, and he will not be judgmental. You know, like parents will say, or even people, wewe umekuwa mbaya, why did you allow this boy to come near you? Why are you playing with gay boys? But you know, even the society right now, there are a lot of things that are happening that we are also confused. Because if you tell your child, do not play with boys, do not play with the opposite sex, and yet again, we are telling them the same sex relationship is not right, the children also get confused, the teenagers also get confused. So the foundations, remember, as I said, the foundations that are made during Sunday school days will also help you as a teenager and also as a young adult. I'm Irene Sambuli. I'm born again, and I'm a wife and a mother, and I love the Lord Jesus. It's been a journey for my Christian life, but I really thank God. I'm a firstborn in a family of 5 kids, and when I finished my high school in 1998, I really wanted to do something that will also make me become someone. I really loved the Lord from my high school days, even primary. When I was being raised, my mother used to make sure that we go to church, and they were Quakers. But when I got married to an Anglican. So after high school, I wanted to join more university, so I applied for religious studies course, and I got taken. But because I was the firstborn and others were still in school, stories with school fees was hard for my parents. So I really didn't go to more university. I didn't join. So I went and deferred. And during that time, I searched for what to do. So I started volunteering as a peer youth educator at Family Care. And that's where I also trained for counseling. And Family Care took me for the course, and I finished. And later on, they also employed me as a VCT counselor. So actually, I started working as a VCT counselor at Family Care, and we were working with the youth. So my passion for the youths really started because I saw there was a lot of things that the youths were going through, and most people are not understanding about the youth, because they were thinking the youths are becoming proud, they're becoming arrogant, they're becoming rebellious. But when I was working with Family Care, I realized that there's a gap between the youth and the society and even the parents. And that's where my passion really started for me to work for the youth. So remember, I had deferred my course for religious studies, but I really wanted to work for the Lord. I wanted people to be good, you know. I believe that with God, everything is good. So when I saw people suffering, when people come for the HIV testing and they turn positive, it was really shocking. But now I came to realize most people did not also know the plans of God, because most of them thought that that was the end of their lives. But with that, we were encouraging them that no, it's not the end of their life, because God is the giver of life. So later on, when I got married, I joined Anglican Church. So I saw there was a gap again, because the youths were there, but there was no one who was really passionate or working with the youths. So I said, this is a gap that maybe I can start filling in. So we started sharing with the youths. We organized for groups for the youths, things that the youth can identify with, even the teens. For example, dancing groups, singing groups, and even retreat groups where they can just have their games. So while working with the church and volunteering also with the church, I became a member and also was selected in positions within the church. And that's how I also got realized that I had some talent for the youth and also for the church. Now my vicar by then realized that there's something about me, and that started encouraging me to do something more, not just to be a volunteer without anything. That's when I was made a lay reader. A lay reader in Anglican Church are people who will support the clergy. When the clergy is not there, they can do some duties for them. So a lay reader is actually somebody who is working very close with the clergy. And from there, it's when I realized that there's something good. And still there's a gap because actually there are things that I could not do because I was not a clergy. And behind me, still there was something. There was a voice telling me that you have to go back and study about religion. But remember, I had deferred my course and 15 years had gone by. And when you defer, after 15 years, you cannot go back. So I worked for the church as a lay reader. I continued working for the youth. And later on, people were still encouraging me. I had friends, I had clergy who were telling me, Irene, you have to go and tap about your talent, go and study. And that's when I realized that maybe I should add more so that you can also learn. I joined St. Paul's ACK Theological College. It is in Kapsabet. And that's how my journey started to be as a clergy. I'm still working as a lay reader. I'm still working with the youth. And with this, we also started groups that will focus more on the youths, who will understand who are the youths. And also as a parent, I always tell people when children are growing, when you give birth, that is not parenting alone. When they turn into teenagers, you start again parenting. It's a different dimension. And so through that, I've learned a lot of things, and it has also helped me to know how to handle the youths. Most people will think that the youths are rebellious, the teens are rebellious, but in real sense, they are not. The best thing is for you to become friends with them. But again, with the theology study that I'm going on with, it is bringing in an aspect of making sure that even as the teens, as the youths are growing, they should also know how to know and learn and live with knowing the Bible, learning the Bible, being rooted deeply in Christ, because it actually helps them to know their values and also to know their virtues and also their beliefs. Because most of them right now, they're not, their parents are not there. Their parents are very busy. They're not there. So the youths will get advices from different people. But now with also theology, I've also learned on how to make the youths come into a place where they can also socialize, but also knowing their limits, because there are a lot of things that they're experiencing and they cannot share with anyone. And also, being a clergy, uh, it also helps us to know what to do so that we can also incorporate the youth in our ministry, because most of the churches, and I'm also talking about Anglican Church, we have a gap of how we can tap into the youth and the teens. But with these studies, it has also helped us to know where we can put in the youths and also make them in.
Nchini kama ndege wa angani uliniwinda, future pamoja mpenzi, mimi na wewe nimeshaiona.
My life is a testimony.
Now, I was born in a family of 5, and my parents were Quakers friends. They used to go to church in Friends. So again, my parents were leaders in the same church. My mother was a treasurer, and my father was one of the elders in this church. So it was them who actually shaped my journey of being a Christian. Because when we went to church, we always made sure, my parents made sure that we all went to church together. We went to Sunday school, And we also did the classes, we call them confirmation classes, because you have to be baptized. And maybe before you are given anything to do in a church, there are classes that you go through. So depending with the church that people go to, the classes differ. But now with Friends Church, we used to go to Sunday school and then we joined classes. And then Friends Church don't baptize with water, but we were baptized in Friends Church through the Holy Spirit. So my journey as a family, I realized that it is good when you see your parents going to church. Most families will find maybe the mother is the one who is going to church and the father is not there, or vice versa. But mostly you'll find most churches have women in the churches. But I learned that if a father and a mother go together in a church, it also has an impact to the children. No child will want to remain behind at home until let me see the church through the television. They'll all want to go as a family. So going to church as a family actually made us bond together. We realized the power of going to church as a family. We realized the power of joining even Sunday school, starting from the basic foundation, because Sunday school is a basic foundation. And when a child starts from there, it is very, very easy for this child to grow deeply in Christ. Even when they grow up and maybe they go a different way, they will still come back. Therefore, there's power in family going together in church. Family being the basic unit of the society. If a family breaks, it means also the church will break. But if a family comes together, it also means the strength in the church. Therefore, as a family, I got that picture that when going to church, you have to go together. And that's why also when I was growing up, I was praying to God to give me maybe a man who knows God. Because when I was growing up, I never saw my dad drinking. I never saw my dad beating my mother. I never saw them quarreling. And maybe if they had the quarrels, they would do it privately, not in front of us. So that one had also an impact, that families would grow together with love. Nowadays, you'll see a lot of things happening. And because of love, you'll see even people are killing each other. And yet they say they were loving each other. So as a family, we should grow together and show the positive side to the children, because children will learn from the parents. Children will see what the parents will do, and that really shapes the child. So if a parent goes to church and tags along the children will know that church is something that is really special in someone's life. In our church, when I was growing up, we had activities. We would have Sunday school days. I remember these Sunday school days, we'll have a lot of goodies. We'll have a lot of sweets. We'll have a lot of biscuits, juice, something that was not always there in Sunday. It was very, very special. And actually, during that time, you'll see even me personally and my sisters and my brother will tag along other children to church. And from there, we shall see that there are some who will keep on going. And later on, we shall also realize they've come in with their parents. So actually, the activities that were being brought in for the children, for the teens, will actually have an impact even to the child and even at home, because the child will go back to their parents and tell them, hey, there's a church where we used to go, and this is what happens. Then we shall have special activities like Bible studies in a story mode. And when you tell a child the Bible in a story mode, or even cinemas, they will really understand. I remember there was a time that someone asked, if people die, and you tell the children that people die and they're buried down, and yet you tell that child that person will be going to heaven, but they know heaven is up there. So you have to explain. So during that time is also a better place where you can also make an impact. How you tell the child that if someone dies but still goes to heaven, which is up there, how are you going to make that child relate to these two things? So it is where we got people who will explain and tell us stories well, like using Jesus Christ's story, that Christ died, but he rose and went to heaven. Again, we'll have retreats. We'll find that today we are meeting here, and then next Sunday we are told we are going to a different church. So we'll have exchange programs. We shall learn from these different churches. And we'll have a lot of toys, we'll have a lot of stories, and we'll have a lot of activities that will engage the children. We'll have singing games and even singing competitions. We'll have people who will try to have Bible memory verses competing, and presents will be given. And this actually made the Sunday school children come more. We'll find children coming to Sunday school, their parents are not coming to church. But later on, the parents will want to find out, why is my child really going to this church? And that has actually happened even up to when I'm married in the Anglican church. We've seen children coming to church, and later on the parents come, because once the parents come and they see the good things that are happening in church, they want to stay there. Now, transition from Sunday school into teens and even young adults. These groups are different. The way you handle a child who is going for Sunday school, the way you handle a child who is a teenager and a young adult is actually very, very different. Their needs are different. A teenager will now find themselves thinking that they know more. And if they do not get the right guidance, these teenagers can fall into a trap or can do some things that are not right. But what we are saying is we have to be friends. So even in church, a teenager will identify with someone who is friendly. A young adult will identify with someone who is friendly, who is ready to listen to them, who is not judgmental. And that is how even me, when I was growing up, I realized there are people whom I really identify with and feel free to tell them what is going on in my life. For example, if I realize there's some boy who was really disturbing me, it will be easier for me to go to someone else, maybe more not my mother, because I would say, hey, mambe atasema nini. But I realized I had people who were making me make it easier for them to advise me. So I would go and find, especially when I was growing up in Friends Church, the pastor's wife was very, very friendly with me. So I'll go and share with her, nawambia, hey, there's a boy who is really disturbing me. Anafanya hivi na hivi na hivi. So that lady will tell me what to do, and it will not be judgmental. You know, like parents will say, or even people, wewe umekuwa mbaya, why did you allow this boy to come near you? Why are you playing with boys? But you know, even the society right now, there are a lot of things that are happening that we are also confused. Because if you tell your child, do not play with boys, do not play with the opposite sex, and yet again, we are telling them the same sex relationship is not right, the children also get confused, the teenagers also get confused. So the foundations, remember, as I said, the foundations that are made during Sunday school days will also help you as a teenager and also as a young adult. Now, even going to a young adult, the children, the teenagers and the young adults, you'll find that young adults would want to have things that they love. For example, a big TV, they would want a bicycle, they would want a big house, and yet they've not gone through stages. People struggle, people will look for employment, people will go for school, but you'll find that these young adults will want to get rich immediately. So if they don't get the right advice, the right people to mentor them, they will easily join into bad things like crime or even peddling drugs and substance abuses, and even join wrong groups that will make them feel they can get money easier. So as a church, we have a very big agenda with the young ones and even the teens to shape them so that they may know that if you have to get something, you have to struggle, and you don't have to do bad things to get it. You don't have to join crime. You don't have to sell drugs and substance abuse. You don't have to drop out of school so that you can get money. When I was working with family care, it is an opportunity that came. I started as a volunteer because I couldn't join the university. So I started as a volunteer there. I was trained as a counselor and a peer educator. So we used to work with teens and young youths, those who are in primary and high school. And we realized that there are a lot of things that are happening, and yet the parents, yet the school, yet the society does not know. And these children, these teens, these young adults would find it easier for them to get advice from their peers. But remember, they have come from different backgrounds. Remember, they've been shaped differently. So, and if one wants to fit in a peer group, they will easily do what that peer group or peer rules want them to do. So we realize that if the school will come in and even do mentorship programs, do counseling programs, because there are those who are going through hard things, but they could not share. Or if they share, they were just told, just relax, those things will come over. So as peer educators and as a counselor, we realize there's power in sharing. There's power in going to those people and telling them that these things happen. It is not just unique to them. People will grow through hunger. People will sleep hungry. People will be chased out of school. But when a teenager or a young child is chased out of school, they will feel that it is only them. They will not know that these things are shared widely. So when you talk to them, it is easy for them to understand that it is not only me. And it doesn't mean that I've been chased out of school. Tomorrow my parents will not get school fees. Then also we realize that there's a gap. Our children will be told do not drink, and yet at home they see their parents drinking, they see their parents fighting. So you are telling them do not drink, but at home they're seeing those. The same parents are the ones who are sending them to go and buy alcohol and cigarettes. So it is confusing to this child, to this teenager. They do not understand where their place is. But because of the peer education and peer programs, they also learn that there's something that people are going through that they do not have to go through. For example, if you are born at a slum area, it doesn't mean you'll stay there forever. Work hard and you remove your family from that slum area. We also realize that there are some children who are going to school and at home their parents are drunkards, they don't care. It's like that child is actually leading that home. So when they come to school, maybe they are dirty, they are ragged. We were talking also with the teachers not to beat them, not to punish them that they are dirty, to find out what is really happening at home. So that through that program, they can also ask the neighbors to assist these children. You'll find that child maybe in grade 6 now or class 6 then coming to school, the socks are dirty, they are having shoes that are not right. But it's because maybe at home they were taking care of their younger children, they slept late, they did not eat. So when the school comes in, we will realize how to go about and help these children. And that is where also we come in and talk even to the parents. We go and tell the parents that what you are doing right now is affecting this child. And it can affect this child even to their future. Because a lot of children go through trauma in their childhood. And these traumas will affect them in their adulthood. And that's why you'll find people who are very close, they don't want to share, they get into depression and even commit suicide because they saw there was nobody who was caring for them. But through these programs, you'll show that people care and people are ready to listen and help can come through those programs. Now, from these experiences since my childhood, and even as a volunteer at family care, and even as a church leader, because I've said I've worked as a church leader in various positions. I've been a secretary in the church. I've been a secretary for the Lady Mothers. At a young age, you can imagine being selected as a secretary to lead women who are older than you. It's because of the passion that you have. So I've learned that there are some gaps that the church can play in as a role. For example, we can create a safe space. Make programs that can also make these youths and teenagers and the children feel comfortable. During holidays, a lot of these youths, children are very idle. But as a church, if you create programs that can engage these children, it will be really, really impactful to them. For example, we can create skill making programs. Like in our church, we've seen children as young as even 6 years old, 10, teenagers coming to be trained on how to make maths, on how to bake, on how to make beads and bracelets, because these are things that will keep the children busy. Because at home they'll just play and you'll find that they get into things that are not right. You'll find children even telling each other, let us go and steal. But if they are put in programs that are right, these children will be busy and they'll be learning some skills that can be helpful to them. Also, as a program, those children who finish high school before they join colleges, there's a gap in there. So through that, as a church, we can have mentorship programs. Mentorship programs is such like they can be brought, they can be talked to by professionals. We can call in professionals like maybe doctors, maybe pilots, maybe even the Juakali sector artisans to come and talk to them and tell them how they should expect when they're going to join or choose their careers, so that this will also help them to know what career is best for them. Most children will get their parents forcing them, I want you to be a doctor. And in real sense, the child does not want to be a doctor. Maybe they want to be an athlete, maybe they want to be a basketballer, maybe they want to do something that with their hands, maybe making mats or even salon. But the parents will insist, no, you have to be a doctor. So, but through these programs, we'll have to be able to bring in the parents on board and talk to them to understand why they should let their children do what they think they're best in and support them. And then later on, if they can also choose another career, it is good for them, but let us support them. So the church can come in by bridging that gap of making sure that the parents understand what the children need, and also the children to know what they really want to do in their life by bringing experts to talk to them. Another thing that a church can do is, the society is full of things that are not right, but these youth, these things cannot run. They don't have a place where they can run to. And always when people come to church, they're hopeful. They have faith that something is going to be solved. So as a church, we should create programs that can also stand in the gap. For example, those who are orphans, ladies who are widows or men who are widowers, and they have young children, they don't know how to raise them. The church can come in with programs on how to do parenting, on how to help these children even to further their studies, because maybe they don't have financial support. So the church has a lot of things, a lot of programs that they can do so that they can help these children and their community at large. They can also start an income generating activity to help the children, to help the community, because if we have orphans in our churches, we can actually identify a project that we can do so that it can support these orphans in our churches.
My life is a testimonial.
And to some good news, we convert the old VHS tapes into digital format that you can be able to watch and share. Call us on 0723 340 413.
My life is a testimonial.
Well, growing up, I was saying that my parents made it look like a family is something very good. So, like I said, we never saw them fighting, we never saw them quarreling, we saw them working together. There's a time even my mother used to work in Nairobi and my father was here in Eldoret, and my father will take care of us, and we were comfortable. We did not see that gap. And when my mother comes over the weekends, we would see that there was that blending, there was that relationship that is continuing. So when I was growing up, I really asked God also, I want a family like this one. I want a family that is peace. I want a family that we were not beaten. So when I was growing up, I also wanted to be good and to have children that are good, that I will not be beating them. But as I said, people are raised differently. So my prayer was, I want someone that will also understand me and even get someone that will not disturb me. So when I was growing up, I was very, very strict with myself. I think I thought that maybe marriage was for people who are big, because I thought, when you are growing up, you have a lot of things that you want, desire. I wanted to go to America because that time people used to fly out. But that time you are told you have to have a bank statement that is showing 1 million shillings, and yet you don't have. So it was a lot of challenge. There are a lot of things that I wanted to do. I wanted maybe to travel and see people, how they run their things, but there was limitation. So later on, this also shaped my life because I learned that you can live within your means. One, you do not have to be like others because people will live extra life. You'll see people going for holidays. You'll see people going for hotels to eat, but you cannot. But your family is at peace. So I learned one thing, that you just live within your means and be grateful to everything that you have. Be thankful to God for the gift of life, which is very basic. Be thankful to God if you're not getting sick. because there are people who are sleeping in hospital. So there are blessings that you have even at that place. I could not join university, but the blessing that I had, we were a family, we were not getting sick, we were also eating, we were not sleeping hungry easily. So the blessing that we had. So this also shaped me because when I was growing up, I got into a relationship, and I usually laugh at my husband because my dream was to get married to a Muzungu. I used to love the pointy children, the chotaras. So my dream was I wanted to have children that are pointies. So my dream was I want to get married to a Mzungu. But now the Wazungus were far. I was not meeting them. But God has different plans. So I usually laugh with my husband. I tell him, I don't know what you did so that you didn't let me get married to a Mzungu. So we really laugh at that. So my husband, when I was also looking at what he has, I realized that he was not maybe the things that I wanted, not drinking, not smoking. But he was raised in a family that was different. The parents used to beat them as children. Me, I was raised in a family where we were not being beaten. So it was really something that I had to learn and to adjust. I remember when we got married, I never saw my parents fighting. But in the neighborhood that we went, uh, there was a couple that fought. It really shocked me because I was imagining if people love each other, how could they fight? So there are things that I was learning right then. I learned that also because after our wedding, you've spent a lot of things. It reaches a time you don't have food in your home. So you realize, hey, kumbe, you can sleep hungry easily because people, you fear, should I call these people? But you say also, people who have seen you doing a big wedding, so they think you have money. So I learned also that there are things that you have to go through and you have to fight together. So in my growing up, I also learned to adjust accordingly to how that context is. So it has really helped me also to be patient, to be mindful of others, and also not to judge. Because when we got our children, as I said earlier, me, I don't know how to beat children, but my spouse knows how to punish them. So it also teaches you how to accommodate that because I will feel that is not right. But in real sense, they were beaten when they were growing up, and it really made an impact through their life. So we also balance, where to balance and what to do and not what to do. So we thank God for those learning experiences. Now, as a teenager, a lot of things, if someone wants maybe a nice phone and the parents cannot afford that nice phone, and they find someone outside there who will easily make them uh, get into something that is not right so that they can easily get that phone, you'll find that child, if they are not mentored, if they are not advised accordingly, they'll easily mess up. For example, right now we are fighting a lot of teenage pregnancies. And when you dig down, the teenage pregnancy is not from a teenager. It is someone who is older than that child. And maybe it's because they wanted even pads. Girls look for pads because the parents cannot afford. So this guy will cheat them and tell them, I will give you this and this if you sleep with me. So it is easy for that child to go that way. Or you'll find that child, because they do not know a lot about sexuality, they'll be told when we sleep together for the first time, you'll not get pregnant. And it's a lie. So there's a lot of things that even teenagers undergo. And if they don't get the right advice, they don't get the right foundation, they can easily fall into traps and even mess their lives. But as a church, as people, as peer educators, as people who have gone through different experiences, we can easily advise these people because we usually say experiences are the best teacher. So if we share our experiences, people will learn from them. If we share our experiences, it will be easy for that person not to go through the same path that maybe I went through. Uh, also, when we were growing out as peer educators, we realized that parents have a very, very major role in mentoring these children. Because if I come and tell a child, do not do this, and the parent is not telling them, it will not make a big difference. We've seen children who have been raised by parents who are making changa, but if the parent will not allow that child to go to church, it will not be easy for you to change this child's world, because we've seen children who have been raised with the parents making changa, so they do not go to school. But as a church, we bring in the gap of making sure this child goes to school and that will change the life of that family. We've seen these children growing up and changing that life. That parent who was making changa no longer makes changa, maybe now has a business that is more more useful to the family, that is not judgmental.
My life is a testimony.
Nikiulizwa nchini kama ndege wa angani, uliniwinda future pamoja, mpenzi mimi na wewe nimeshaiona.
My life is a testimony.
When I was dating, when we were dating, me and Kevin, one thing that we made sure is we used to have friends around us. The social aspect, because you don't start, the relationship doesn't grow from day one. You start by being together. Maybe we met during a project that was called Kijana Poa. So they had activities that they were moving around the cities, the towns, advising children and young adults and teenagers to abstain until marriage. So this program, we used to say that if you are teaching people to abstain, also you have to be a role model. So one thing is we made sure that we are role models. And secondly, we used to do things as teamwork, because it will really help us, because teenagers and young adults can easily fall into temptation. So one rule was that when we are dating, we should be in a group. We should not be separate alone. And then we should be together during daytime, because these are rules that will help us from experiences, because when you are journeying together, you listen to experiences people are going through, and you learn that some people got into a mess because of this and this, and even they're not longer in that relationship. So one, you have to have ground rules. You have to have your own principles, that if we are dating, let us date for this time first before doing any major decision. And then also we were free. For example, my parents would allow us, as I said earlier, be a friend to your teenager, be a friend to your children. Our parents would allow us to bring our friends to our home. Same to him. The parents would allow them to bring their friends to their home. So it was easy for the parents to know the children's friends and who are they working with. Because even parents will tell you, this person that you are a friend with, chungana naye sana because of this and this. This friend that you have, let us also know their families, and you'll see that parents will make sure that they want to know the family of your friend, and that really also helped us, because the parents will now know each other, and they'll also share about their life experiences. So one, we made sure that we had on our own principles. For example, that one that I was saying, we said we are preaching abstinence. Let us abstain till marriage. Secondly, let us tell our parents about our friends, and our parents were our friends also. So it was very easy for them. So it is something that parents should also tap. Be a friend to your child. Make sure your child is free to tell you who the friends are, whether it is a boy or a girl. Let them be free and open enough. Then also be a friend to their friends, because that will be easy for you to socialize and know who they are. That will make it easier. Then we also had activities. We also made sure that we went to conferences. If we hear a church has organized for a youth forum or a youth conferences, we used to make sure that we go as a group. We mobilize each other and we go there. And we really learned from these experiences. I remember we once went to Mumias, where there was a conference for a whole week, and we really learned from there that people can actually be friends for some time, knowing each other. So we dated for about a year and a half before deciding that now we want to be husband and wife. And at that time, we also brought in friends na tukawaambia. We shared. So you listen to someone who said, umepata mtu mzuri, umepata mtu mzuri, and that will really help, because people also know you. So through that, also our parents came in and they met. And because of the different dynamics, the parents would agree. And you will know that, for example, as I was saying, my husband's home. Hawa hawawezi wacha vyombo ilale kwa sink, but in our home you would see, yani ingesumbua. So we were learning from each other experiences. Sufuria ya chai ni ya chai at my husband's place, but as you can cook ugali with that sufuria, you can cook with tea. So those experiences, because of the family connections, you will learn from there, and really it helped us. Now, as a as a married person, and also someone that is really passionate about religion and theology, I've also learned that when people are dating, when people are courting, and when people want to get married, the church has a very, very big role in these lives. One, people will have different definitions of how long you should date someone before you get married. But as a church, we have structures. For example, if you are dating someone and you want to marry them, there are some structures that people will have to go through. For example, they have to be counseled. And the counseling has been divided into sessions. You will find there's a counseling session that is only between the man, and there's also a counseling session that is only between the lady. And maybe these clergy who are a couple are doing the sessions. So the clergy pastor, who is a male, will meet with the male who wants to make to marry, and the clergy's wife will meet with the lady. And maybe if that church does not have a clergy that is married, they'll identify an elderly couple that can also talk to them. There are counseling sessions that they have to have when they're together. For example, they will be told about their family backgrounds. So most of them will share their backgrounds so that a lady will know if I'm the firstborn. You know, for example, me, I'm a firstborn and my husband is a lastborn. So firstborns, when we are growing up, we start taking lead early enough because you are being told you are the role model. How wengine, they will follow what you do, you know. And yet this lastborn anakuwa pampered. If they want yogurt, wanaletewa yogurt. Akiumia, wewe firstborn, you are the one who will be beaten. Kwa nini mtoto amechapwa? So there are those dynamics. So when you are doing that counseling, also that will also be discussed there. Are you a firstborn? Are you a middle child? Are you a lastborn? Are you an only child getting married to a person who is has a family, a big family? Yet you've been raised alone. So there are those dynamics. So before people get into marriage, they should also understand these dynamics. Also, about finances, about disciplining your children, how many children you want. For example, me, I really wanted very many children. I wouldn't mind. So, but you know, because of the economy, because of the societal structures, sometimes it limits us. But our parents used to give birth even to 10, 15 children. But you know, this come with changes. So you also have to understand, because maybe your spouse wants one, you want many children. So you have to understand and bring a balance. Secondly, um, are you a child who is an orphan, or who has both parents, or who has been raised by a single parent? Those dynamics affect marriages, because if you don't discuss them, later on they'll come and disturb you. I remember there was a counseling session that was done, and these people, because they were not told what to expect during honeymoon, they just went and came back without anything. And that's why you'll find there were roles that Senges, the aunties, will do. It's only that sometimes they were going beyond limit, you know, like they will tell you that they want to be there when you are having your first sexual contact with your spouse. But during the counseling sessions, as a clergy, as a church, it is important for us to discuss that, because there are some people who do not know what they are expected to do. And also biologically, we've realized that people are different. So this has to be discussed again, because biologically, the way people have been created, we are different. Even if we look at our noses, our ears, they're different. And there's some things that we cannot change. So these things have to be discussed in case something happens, in case this person cannot perform his duties. You as a spouse, you as the couple, what are your expectations? We've had marriages that have been made, and even within 1 month, you hear these people are separated. And it's because of such things, that gaps that were left, they were not discussed during the counseling sessions, so that this thing would have been avoided. You'll find that someone is getting married and yet this person as a wife maybe uko reserve, but kwa sababu hawakuwa wameongea, they do not know the families, something happens, you see people coming to weddings, they want to stop that wedding. So the counseling sessions will really help. And the counseling sessions will not take 1 month, will not take 2 months. They'll take even up to around 6 months. And these 6 months will also be helpful because this person will be knowing this other person. We've had people who have known each other for 3 weeks. The next week, you hear they are getting married, but later on, it doesn't go far. Still, even if people get married and they've gone through various challenges, if they are counseled well, they'll go through those challenges well without the negativity. You see people coming and killing each other. You see people killing their children. But if people are counseled well, they will be prepared for any calamity. Sometimes people would paint a picture that is not there, especially nowadays with social media. People will want to show that marriage is perfect, but we can also see the other side, that we have people who are showing that marriage is not something that is good. But again, marriage is something that people are coming in who have been brought from different backgrounds. So one, we should expect there will be challenges. Two, there will be some situations that will need a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of wisdom. Most people, when they get married and maybe they want to do something, even buying maybe a piece of land, they'll have to discuss. But you'll see maybe someone who was brought up to make decisions on themselves, they'll even decide to go and buy a piece of land without consulting the other partner. And that will easily bring conflict. So the major thing that we should know in marriage is communication. And when I was saying about counseling, if counseling sessions are done very well, communication will be discussed. People will put their affairs on the table. They'll say, me, I want to do this and this. Me, I own this and this. And this is the boundary. Hii shamba nimepewa na baba yangu. Hii shamba nimepewa na mama yangu. So these are the boundaries. Do we work together with this? Ama sisi tuanze kununua our own shambas. So communication will be very, very key. Secondly, when you get into marriage, there are things that you will learn that you did not learn when you were dating or courting. And one, when counseling has been done well, this will also prepare you, because there are things now that because you're now knowing each other, you'll be free to do, you'll be open enough to do, and will come out. Your personality will now come out. So if counseling was not done well, utashanga kwani niliolewa na nani ama nimeoa nani. But if counseling is done well, because when you're dating, you want to do the best, you want to show your best. But once you are in marriage, there are things that you learn about your partner. But the key thing that we want people to know is, do not make a decision when you are angry, because most people will make decisions when they're angry. Take your time, be patient, and allow, because you are human beings, you are not perfect. People will expect that if I'm married, or I've been married to someone else, this person is perfect. We are not perfect. And that is also captured during counseling sessions, that this person is not perfect. There are mistakes that we are going to do. There are things that we are going to do well, and we have to complement each other. We have to correct in a loving way. But key thing is communication. I also tell people that, when a man is 20 years, he's actually half that age, 10 years. But a lady will grow. Every 7 years, it's like a lady changes. Every 7 years, it's like a lady changes. That's why you'll hear that ladies will mature easily. So when a man is at 40 years, he's actually 20 years. So he will want to do things like that 20-year-old. So during counseling sessions, you have to also talk about these things, because you realize that this lady has now settled, ako na watoto, ametulia, but this man now is ako kwa dunia ingine. So if people do not understand these phases, you'll easily find now that people will have family breakups, people will have fights, but it's because they did not understand these things. A lady will want to be told every day nakupenda, anataka pelekwe out, aletewe chocolate, but it reaches a time that maybe when the children come in, now concentration goes to the children. Au ndo analetewa sweetie, the lady is not brought in a sweet, you see. But when you're buying for your children, also buy one for your wife. So these things are captured during counseling. and also preparation for the marriage, so that when you get in, you know that you've gotten in, and some things can happen that will either break you or make you. But we have to understand that we are human beings. So I think the social media, again, we have to be very, very careful about it, because it can tell us something that are not real. We have dramatized things about families being perfect, but in real sense, these families are not perfect. We have dramatized um, uh, things that show that families are breaking up, and maybe it is not the reality on the ground. So we have to be very, very careful and have experiences from people and learn from people directly.
My life is a testimony.
Napenda kupendwa na wewe, sioni cha kufananisha kama kupendwa na wewe. Napenda
My life is a testimony.
One thing I know about our church, our Anglican church, that is now they're trying to promote is, there are a lot of things that surround weddings. For example, our culture. If I'm the eldest child and I've not done a wedding, and there's my sibling who is younger than me wants to do a wedding, the culture will now stop that person. But right now, as Christians, we are saying that some cultures should not actually hinder one from doing a wedding. So the wedding also should not be very, very expensive. We have weddings that nowadays you can go to the Attorney General office and just have your best couple and maybe two witnesses to come and see, and see what you're formalizing your wedding. In our church also, we are calling out for mass wedding, because it will really help in lessening the budget. For example, if it is a mass wedding and there are 5 couples, and maybe the budget that they have to meet, especially nowadays, is that one for the certificate and that one for the Attorney General, and maybe for the church if there are charges there. So you'll find it will not go beyond 10,000 or 15,000, depending. So if a church organizes a mass wedding, the couples will come and say, for the food budget, let us all maybe give 3,000 towards the food budget, and they'll eat together. Some will also decide maybe to do it on a Sunday. Immediately after the service, they have their wedding and people go home. Then, as a couple, will organize maybe with a few family members to have their meals at home or at a restaurant, so that will lessen the budget. So people mostly have tagged a wedding to a very big budget, but in real sense, it doesn't have to be a very big budget. It doesn't have to be limited by culture. For example, a wedding is actually confirming that you two people are staying together. Kuna hizo vows that you're making. So the other things, like maybe taking the cows, or maybe sijui kufungua boma, can come later. But you have formalized your wedding. So some things can wait, but you can come and formalize your wedding without those cultural hindrances, or even the budgets being too high. A wedding can be done even with 5,000 shillings. Unanunua tu pete hizi za 200, unaenda kwa mchungaji, and whether you have your witnesses, the best couple, and even your parents maybe, or just few people to see, it is a wedding. The best couple, the couple itself, and the clergy, 5 people at most, will formalize that wedding, and that one will be recognized even in our country, Kenya. Okay, right now, what I'm advising couples and where we are going. For example, this year, I've had to attend some weddings because one of the couples, either the man or the wife, is supposed to go for a duty somewhere, but they're being told they have to give their marriage certificate. So what I will say, if you've stayed in a come we stay marriage, it means you've already decided to be married. Just take a step of faith and make sure that you formalize your marriage. You don't have to have a big wedding. Just take a step of faith, to formalize your marriage. If you belong to a church, go and talk to your clergy or your priest, and they can organize. Um, as long as we have the registration done with the Attorney General and the certificates is given, and your pastor is recognized as someone who can officiate a wedding, just plan and have your best couple, yourselves and that priest, and you can formalize your wedding and have the certificate. The celebration can even come later on, but just make sure that you formalize your marriage and have that marriage certificate. Where we are going, a lot of things, if you claim you are married, they will ask for the marriage certificate. Now, as a church, I realized that we have the power to minister and to make more disciples, to know Christ and to become Christians through different venues. It could be through a birthday party. You will see that someone is needed to share the word of God. It could be a wedding. It could be a burial ceremony. It could be a Thanksgiving ceremony, maybe after children have been circumcised, or graduation. You still feel there's need for someone to share the word of God, either a priest or a church person. So the church has a very, very big avenue for sharing the word of God and bringing people to God. So that's why I also took that step of faith, because learning theology, it has a lot of things. We learn about philosophy, we learn about sociology, we learn about psychological development, and even how to empower your church members and the society at large. Also, being in the church, you are a role model. Uh, Personally, I've stood in as best couple for various people in their weddings, and mostly what I tell people is, when you are getting married, there are three key things that you should learn to say. That is please, sorry, and thank you. And once you know these things, it will really help you in your marriage. You will find that even when you get differences and you say sorry, you learn to say sorry, those things will be easily handled. If you learn to say please or thank you, your family will be rooted deeply, and the foundation will be strong. So I've learned those three things. Please, sorry, and thank you are very, very important, even in someone who is not married, even as a church goer, even as a youth or a teenager, or just somebody that loves to be at peace. Those three words are very, very powerful. So as a church, we have that mandate to be the role models. People will come to church because they want hope. People will come to church because they know they can be helped. And people will come to church because they know there's good news. They will not be taken badly, they will not be charged. And they want to come to church and feel better. You know, when someone was sharing that if you see someone sleeping in church, they're at peace, you should not condemn them. Maybe they've been having a lot of issues from where they've come from. So a church is a place where people want to find peace there. So as someone who is passionate about ministry, I also decided to advance. You know, knowledge is power. We are told even in the Bible that people die because they lack knowledge. Lack of knowledge does actually affect the church, even the ministry, because even the devil himself knows about the Bible, knows about life of people. So the devil will use what you know, and he knows. But because you do not know enough, you can easily be twisted. That's why I also decided to go and add more education about my passion about ministry and the church. And that's why I joined theology. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. Even right now, if I hear someone or somebody has been reported to the church minister, and you know, the church will expect, or the members will expect something to happen immediately. But you know, as a priest, all these people, both good and bad, belong to Christ. So the way you handle them is different. You do not handle them like the police people. You don't handle them as a manager of a farm. You, as a priest, you have to handle them differently, because the church is not only for the perfect people. It's only for those. It's also for those who are not perfect. So I've also learned that sometimes taking decisions, you should not judge a priest because they've taken long. No, it is because of what they know. You give people chance. So as learning as a theologian, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning that we can also empower people all around, not only spiritually, but even physically. For example, in our church, I like what the priest is now doing. They've started even training people on nutrition. A priest will come, or a clergy, or someone will be invited in church, and the sermon will also talk about nutrition, why you should have balanced diet, what it entails. It will also talk about physical exercises. If you are feeling that you are not you are having health challenges, start running in the morning. So the church is now becoming wholesome. It will also tell people that you should be economically empowered at home, because God gave us all resources, and these resources are enough for every one of us. So if you have your hands, if you have your feet, your brain, there's something that you can still do as somebody. So as a theologian, we are being taught it is not about spirituality alone, but it is the wholesome growth of that individual. So we have to grow both physically, spiritually, economically, socially. Socially is very important, because we need the community that we are staying in. We need friends, we need networks, because when someone maybe is going through challenges, the social network will really help them. We've had people that maybe they pass through challenges, but nobody is there to support them. The church, if someone identifies with the church, you'll see there's a strong network that will support this person when they're going through challenges. I want to encourage each and every person that us as human beings, we are all created to be good. Because when you are being born, nobody was told because you will be performing poorly in class, you go to Ward D. You know, when our parents are going to the hospital to give birth to us, we are not separated that this one will be a poor performer, this will be very bright. We are all born the same way. So all human beings are good. We have behaviors that we learn, and we say that behaviors that we learn, we can also unlearn them. So we can give people that chance to know that they have the power to do something that is right, to choose what is right, and even leave what is wrong. So as Irene, I'm a counselor by profession. I know people go through a lot. People would want to share, but they don't know how to share and who to tell. People will be afraid if I share, people will start laughing at me. I will not be helped. People will now underrate me. But there's power in sharing, there's power in talking, because that is one step of healing yourself. Also, I've learned that you can have friends, you can have very, very many friends, but it reaches a time when maybe you need something. Those friends are no longer there. But you can have very few friends who can stand with you. But again, our God is a merciful God, is a God of connections. Even when you feel you do not have anyone to help you, somewhere God will touch someone that will come and help you in that situation. So our hope should be alive. Our mindset should be positive. And therefore, me, I'm ready to listen to people. I'm ready to help where I can. If I have the strength, if I have the power, I can help you. You know, sometimes people will not want something big, but they just want something to help them support to pick up from somewhere. So when we have that power, we have the connections, we can really help you. So as an individual, I've been doing counseling to people, both children, couples, teens, uh, elderly people, and sometimes people will see that Irene is very young, or we Irene hawezi fanya, but from experience, just sharing kuna kitu ambayo itafanyika and people will get help. We also have mentorship programs. You know, sometimes there are some things that maybe I cannot do, but I know people who can help. I will connect you to people. I will tell you, go and see this person who can assist you. We can also try to find ways of helping you. So through counseling, through mentorship programs, and also through spreading the word of God, through reaching out to people, missions, going to various places. We are not limited to one area. We can be invited to come and speak to people in colleges, in schools, even homes, the family homes where they just want to have a one, maybe during their family time. So we go to people. We don't only select specific people. So I'm easily reachable. If someone wants to reach me, they can get me through my uh, contacts, telephone number, which will be shown in the page. or on Facebook, personal inbox, and even just calling and seeing what we can do so that we can know that there's help in every situation. Nothing is difficult. These are challenges. We usually call them challenges because challenges have solutions. Problems sometimes will not have solutions, but challenges have solutions, and most of us will go through challenges, which at the end of the day will have solutions to them. So, what we can say is that people are good, people are born good, nobody's born bad, and everything that has a beginning has an end. There are no seasons that are permanent. Even right now, we are going through a rainy season just after a sunny season. So seasons will come and go. So this is something that people should know. Nothing is permanent. No situation is permanent. And also God has good plans for us. What you experience today will be something different that you'll experience tomorrow. As long as your foundations are right, as long as you make it right, God is always merciful and forgiving.